Hello, Geordie Frasers. In this one, I'm going to have a look at the two very versatile words, canny, which is a really canny word, and as in warlass or warlass, that kind of thing. And then I'm going to have a look at the Northumbrian R, or the Burr, or sometimes called the Geordie R. We're going to have a look at that as well and see how that's influenced the dialect too. Thank you. Canny. One interesting Geordie word is canny. Ah, she's canny. Ah, she's a canny old soul. Ah, she's a canny old soul. She's canny like. Or that's canny good. That's canny good. It's a canny job. Ah, I'm canny. So it can mean sort of nice, lovely. She's a canny soul, or good job. Good job mean good. Something that's good. Oh, it's canny good. Or something that's difficult. Oh, it's canny hard. That like canny hard. Or it can be something that's cunning. Like Scots, canny Scots. But it's that last one there is very rarely used in the northeast. Canny tends to mean very or something that's it's in the extreme. Canny, it's canny good, canny nice, or something that's lovely. So it has a slightly different meaning to it does in other parts of the country. Ultimately, it does come from the word can, which is an Anglo-Saxon word. Also, the Norse, the Vikings said canna as well. So it's can is a word. It means something that you can do. It's related to knowledge, which is why it's related to the Scots ken as well, K-E-N. It shows how words are interrelated. But in Geordie, canny has come to mean something slightly different, and it's quite a versatile word. Warlass, warlad. Another versatile word is W-O-R. Warlass, warfella, warlass. It means, it comes from our, from ua. So it's Anglo-Saxon, our. In Scots, they tend to say ua, like, the cartoon strip, ua woolly. But ua, in Geordie, the oo sound's being dropped, and ua is left, so that's how we get w. Now it's adapted and it's developed further. So sometimes you might hear a Geordie it come to mean me. So you might say, "Are you coming with we? Are you coming with me?" So it's a word that's developed, and it shows how language develops and how dialect develops really in interesting ways. So that's quite an interesting feature of the Geordie dialect. Ah, non-rhotic. Now, unlike the closely related dialect of Northumberland, Geordie is a non-rhotic dialect, which basically means there's no special way of pronouncing the R sound. But there's evidence to suggest this wasn't always the case, and that Geordie did originally use the Northumbrian R sound, and that certain Geordie words have been influenced by the Northumbrian R. Now, Northumbrian is one of three English dialects which are regarded as rhotive. The other two are West Country, think Somerset, like farming, and Lancashire, Burnley, that kind of thing. But the Northumberland R is quite different. It's an uvular R, which means it's produced in the back of the throat. And it's most prominently heard at the beginning of a word rather than after a vowel, in words like road, raw, rain, which sound like a word, raw, green, almost like you've added an additional A to the sound. A rain, a rain, a raw, road. But it almost sounds like a W in its pronunciation. It's quite unusual. The Scottish R. Notice how that Northumberland R sound is very different to the Scottish R, which is trilled. It's been raining in Scotland today. It's been raining really heavily. So it's quite different to the Scottish R. And I know I exaggerated that a little bit, but you can see that it's quite an important difference there. The Northumbrian Boar. This Northumberland R sound is known as the Burr, or the Boar. And in the 1890s, it was studied by the Northumberland dialect expert Richard Oliver Heslop, and he discovered that the Burr, or Boar, was spoken as far south as Bortley, or Bertley, if you like, and as far east as Jarrow, but seemingly wasn't spoken in South Shields. It certainly wasn't spoken in Sunderland or in the rest of County Durham. Now this Northumbrian R sound may have affected the pronunciation of certain words on the Geordie speech of Tyneside, words such as vary for very, or board for bird, and boast for burst, or forced for first, and saw for sir, and so on. Harry Hotspur and his burr. Now it's said that this Northumberland R sound, the Northumbrian burr, developed as an emulation of Harry Hotspur Percy, a great warrior and hero in Northumberland. He was the son of the Earl of Northumberland, and you may be familiar with him from Shakespeare's Henry IV. Now, Harry Hotspur apparently had a speech impediment which caused him to speak with this strange R sound, which the Northumbrians, I should say, tried to emulate because he was such a great hero, which is a nice story, but I don't believe a word of it. The other theory is that it was just a matter of fashion, in fact, that this R sound was actually used throughout England at one stage, and it survived in Northumberland. And Daniel Defoe even noticed this R sound in Northumberland on his travels in the 18th century, in the 1700s. The Geordie R. Now, in his book Lan Yasel Geordie, the writer and humorist Scott Dobson gives us instructions on pronouncing what he describes as the Geordie R, which involves the following. So here we are, Scott Dobson's Lan Yasel Geordie, which was published back in the 1960s, a tongue-in-cheek guide to the Geordie dialect. Now, in this book, he explains how you can pronounce the Geordie R, and I'm going to read from it. Now, I definitely do think that you should try this at home, so give this a go. So, how to pronounce the original Geordie R. Follow the instructions carefully, keeping this page in front of you so that you may follow the sequence of sounds correctly. Are you ready? Well, are you ready, people? Then we will begin. Phase 1. Open the gob to its full extremity. Phase 2. Keep the gob open and vibrate the tonsils in an anti-clockwise motion, producing a gargling sound. Keep the tonsil movement supple and flowing. Phase 3. Still with the gob open and keeping the tonsils vibrating, remember anti-clockwise, summon up a hacking cough. Just as this is emerging, change it swiftly into an R sound. Try to think of the sort of R that might emerge from the gob of an asthmatic hyena. And according to Dobson, an excellent example may be heard in The Adventures of Tarzan, episode 73, where the monkey hits the hyena over the muzzle with a wrench, a monkey wrench of course. Phase 4. Amalgamate all these sounds into one mighty roar, thus producing the final Geordie R sound in all its pure beauty. So after 3, ladies and gentlemen, give it a go. 1, 2, 3. Well, there you gan, the Geordie R. Gan canny, everybody.